Azerbaijan Independence Party.
Thank you, everyone. I am representing Support Azerbaijan Independence Party. I am here to let you know, my Baloch brothers, that our heart beats with the same rate when you talk about independence, self-governance, and human rights, and freedom. After that, democracy. If you don't have your independence, you will not have none of these that speak out about democracy and freedom and human rights. You have to first have your independence. You have to have your own land with your own government. Good government, bad government, what kind of government, we are not talking about. That people have to decide on that. But independence is the main thing for people, a group of people who call themselves nation. If a group of people, they came to the realization and maturity to call themselves nation, they are nation. And they have right to self-governance. That's where we are together with Baluch brothers. I have very short time here, a few minutes. I am not going to talk about Baluch's thousands of years of history. I studied from Kushan Empire, or before that, from Seljuks, Timurids, and from Safarids, until the Mughals of India, and then the English, and then now Pakistan and the brutal regime of Iran. Pakistan is basically a fake country based on religion. In the way, in the route to independence, I believe that we should not make religion as the main distinctive issue. As I said, a group of people think they are a nation. If they realize they are a nation, that's just enough to be independent, to fight for independence. You don't have to be a certain religion or certain sect or certain kind of people, or what non-scientific people call race, that we don't believe in. Any religion you have, it's yours. Any sect of religion, anything. But our enemies, the occupiers of our lands, the Iranian government or Pakistani government or any other government, they try to make that a religious fight. This group of religion, this sect, this group. But we have to be smart enough to know that if we are a nation, we need independence. We need our own governance. We need our own people governing us. And after that, after we have our own independence, our type of governance will determine the rights of religions and groups and sects and stuff. We have to know what comes first. As Mustafa Kemal said, first is independence, then the freedom. If you don't have independence, talking about freedom, talking about human rights, talking about women's rights, talking about any rights, it's just talking. First, you have to have independence. South Azerbaijan Independence Party's main issue is independence from Iran, from the occupation of Iran. We don't believe in supremacy of United Nations. We think the word nation is being abused there. It's better to be called United Government. Because if we use the word nation as a nation state, as the word in sociology and political science, we use it as nation states. It means there's a boundary, there's a geographical boundary, and there are groups of people living, and they are nation states. So I believe United Nations, they don't represent nations, they represent the governments. That's why governments build it. So if we assume the government and the representatives of the government, they represent the nations, then United Nations is a good terminology. But in reality, it's not. Iranian representative in United Nations does not represent Al-Ahwazi people, South Azerbaijani people, Turkmens, I don't know, Kurds, or Baluchs, or others. They represent Persian Shia racism of archaic 2,500 years of stupidity that they created. Apocalyptic thinking of Iranian government. If you just listen a few minutes to Iranian leaders like Khamenei or these, you will find out that the brain is rotten even beyond 2,500 years old. It's just smelling of religious ideologies, of racial ideologies. So Iranian representatives in the United Nations does not represent people who are occupied by it. Same as Pakistan. So we can just relate to that. So we don't think, of course we believe that we have to lobby everywhere we live. We are in Canada, we have to lobby Canadian government, Canadian Parliament for our benefits, for our pain and suffering that we have there. So they have to know. So when they are voting or any relation between Canada and Pakistan or Canada and Iran, so they have some information. So we have to lobby, we have to put time and energy. Same as in US. We don't put God there and God, when God wants us to be independent, we're going to be. Or God doesn't want. Or today we take the God out, we put the United States there. We don't do that. Or some old people, they tend to put England there. If England wants, everything will happen. It's not like that. We as Turkish nationalists, we believe in power of people. We think people, if they get together, if they militarize their beliefs, their thinkings, and by militarization I don't mean just guns. Militarization itself is a terminology. Militarization of your education, militarization of the relationship between businesses and people, and young and old, and different levels of the society. If the whole society gets militarized and weaponizes even the language, even the religion, anything that you have, if you use it, then you move towards the independence. That's what I mean by militarization of the resources of the nation. And of course you should have the military groups, the arms to fight. If you don't have military to fight, you will lose. Our enemies are militarized. They are extremely militarized. Pakistan has one of the strongest military in that area. Iran too. We are not going to lose to Russians or Iranians in poetry contests, guys. In writing, in prose contest, in a lecture contest. We're going to lose in military, on the ground. They destroy our land and they destroy our people. I have here today, that's 52.2%, that's today's news, Saturday 29th of March. 52.2% of children in the province of Balochistan chronically malnourished and losing a generation. 111 of every 1,000 children in Balochistan die before age 5. This is how they destroy you. You have to be militarized. You have to know that your future, yourself, your children, everything is your resources, is your assets. You have to everything get together. The same thing waits for South Azerbaijan. Same thing waits for everyone who lost their nationality, their identity. Same as Tatars of Crimea. They're gone. They're finished. Same as Chechens. They took them thousands of kilometers away, and they're gone. Same can happen to any nation. Nations are not forever. If you think as a nation, if you militarize yourself, with the mentality, and weaponize every resource that you have, you will survive and you will stay. This is the scientific approach to socialism. It's nowhere is written that the nation of Baloch will stay forever. Nations, just like everything, they have a birth, they have a rise, and they will die. They will go away. If they want to stay forever, they have to have all the immune system, All the mentality, all the education, all the health system, their land, their military, everything has to be there. You have to guarantee yourself. You have to militarize and weaponize every resource in the society. South Azerbaijani Independence Party, the ideology is independence, and we support that, and that's just for us. That's why we don't talk about federalism, because we don't have right to talk about federalism. We cannot be talking about federalism with the Iranian government or Persians, because we cannot talk on behalf of Kurds, or behalf of Balochs, or behalf of Turkmens. We cannot. They have to want this too, right? You cannot just talk about federalism. So you can only talk about, you have a right to talk about you being free. Even the idea of federalism is an impediment in the way to independence and freedom. I don't want to take more of your time. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time and patience. Our heart is with you.